Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, greetings and welcome to the first 1999 edition of It's Not Work, It's Fun, featuring Master Gardener Bernie Delaunay. And just think, we've got only 362 days to worry about the Y2K problem. But that gives us a lot of time to think about that growing season. So without further ado, let's talk to someone who may have some real insight into that growing stuff. Here she is, Master Gardener Bernie Delaunay.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to It's Not Work, It's Fun. Yes, this is the first episode of 1999, the last year before 2000 chaos and doom. Oh no, oh well, it's not going to get that bad. We're going to go through the rules for the gardening contest, which will be printed in Prime Living. You have to watch for that to come out. We're also going to be going through some different, really different things that you can do to bushes outside. Starts in the wintertime. And also I'm going to be talking about mountain ash and Korean ash trees, plus a few other things. I'm going to be going through some of the questions that people brought up to me. However, we don't have any viewer mail. We're going to get to all of that and more right after we come back. And I don't mean in the year 2000 either. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Well, that all leads to a very interesting question. If we'll be right back, where are we going? Well, anyway, we're all silly today. Some of the people who are helpful in part for producing this program are some of the following folks: Dennis's Design Service, featuring drafting, engineering, and blueprint services. Prime Living, one of Bernie's principal publishing sources. She writes articles and then her fan mail always increases because people ask her to elaborate on what she wrote about. Nice paper, keep reading it, and Bernie will keep writing. ARDL, featuring advanced rotary technology out of Davenport, Iowa. Mount View Mobile has the back issues of Bernie's newsletter and the Critter Getter, and they have a lot of other stuff, so stop by and say hello to the Murphys. And like Bernie says, you can always be part of the viewer mail by writing her in the P.O. Box 5041. Keep reading and keep writing. So without further ado, let's get on with the show.
And on with the show we're going to get. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the gardening contest. Now, I don't have the rules on the screen, but they will be coming. As you know, the gardening contest won't actually even start until later on in the summer, but we have to go through the rules and we have to get a few things straightened out. The garden contest, the rules will be in the January issue of Prime Living in the garden article. Now in there, you have to send in a photo, and there is an entry fee that has to go along with the photo. The photo is, you can actually send the entry fee in before that. You have to send it into my P.O. Box. You have to look for those things in the gardening contest, in Prime Living in the article. And there's a couple of rules in there that everybody has to follow because it just makes it easier for everybody else. One of the things that you do have to do is you have to send clear, legible handwriting. If you don't do that, then it's pretty hard to read, and it all has to be sent into my P.O. Box, which we flash on the screen every single episode we do, and of course when we do the live broadcasts, we flash that on the screen and the number to call with that as well. Now, that's another thing that I have to bring up. People love the live broadcast, and we really thank all the people for watching for the last couple of years. We're going to keep on doing them. However, the next one won't be probably until about the month of April, simply because they are a lot of work, and we're going to gear up for a real big one at that time. If I do one in March, I'll let you know, but the one for January and February, we're not going to do it all. So gear up your gardening questions, and as always, if you would like to write in a question to my P.O. Box, that's just fine. Address at Master Gardener Bernie Delaunay, P.O. Box 5041, Wausau, Wisconsin 54402. And we're going to move on from there, look for all the rules in the gardening contest. As I said, there is an entry fee, and to be eligible, you do have to send the entry fee in. It's not very much. It'll be written down in the Prime Living article for the month of January in 1999. And yes, everybody knows we're going to year 2000. But we still got 12 months to get there, so we're not going to worry about that recently. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to have to answer. There is no viewer mail because we didn't put it on the screen. There are a lot of questions that people ask me, and one of the things is that they wanted to know if I was the same person who was on Wisconsin Public Radio about 5 years ago. Yes, I was. The thing is that they wanted to know when I was going to go back to a radio program. I don't really know. I don't really have the answer to that. I do a lot of other radio work. I will be doing some in the future. The answer to the question is I don't really know. If you want to find out if they're going to have me back on, you have to call their 800 number down in Eau Claire and ask them. You can call any of the Wisconsin Public Radio stations and get an 800 number for Eau Claire. And don't ask me why it's Eau Claire. I really don't know, but that's what they said. And ask them about that. A lot of people have been asking that, and they also asked me if I'm ever going to write garden articles for City Pages again. That I don't know either. But I do know that I write for Prime Living, and a lot of people read those, and I really appreciate the fact that a lot of you do read those. I got a nice letter from a lady in Green Bay the other day, and she wanted to know when I was going to again talk about roses. Well, we've never really stopped talking about roses. We'll keep on talking about roses. Maybe somebody will even have a spectacular looking rose bush in the garden contest. Now, the garden contest is, as I said before, something that's going to be in the January issue of Prime Living under It's Not Work, It's Fun. And you do have to grow a garden. You can even grow a container garden, that's fine. But you have to have proof of that by sending in photos. And we won't actually make any of the judgments until right around September 1st. The entry line for sending in the photos and the entry fee will be August 10th. So that's in the Prime Living also. If you want to know a lot more, you can keep on writing to the P.O. Box, and that's just fine. That's what a lot of you do. And that's a lot of fun to get the letters and comments from the people out there, because I know people are watching. People are also wondering when this show is going to get even bigger, and that's not something I really know either. We just keep working at it. As a matter of fact, they also write me and ask me if Ride the Planet is going to get bigger. That's not something I know either. We just have to keep working at it, but we know a lot of you out there are watching, and we do thank you for that. Now, to the gentleman from Stevens Point, I don't have the question on the screen, wanted to know when he should start his lawn care. Well, we were lucky enough to get fall for until December 21st. And we just stopped our lawn care, as a matter of fact, only a couple of weeks ago. So we'll be starting that again soon. As a matter of fact, you can actually start doing some things in February, and I'll bring that up too as time goes on. Now, as far as our subjects for today, no, I don't have any bushes with me. And I do have some rather unusual looking seeds. Let's get a shot of these seeds here first. I'll kind of let you see if you can guess as to see. I'll tell you what they are, but not till the end of the program. And you just see if you can guess what kind of seeds they are. Now, I'll give you a hint. No, these are not little fruit seeds. The birds do like them, but we don't eat them. They're, well, I won't tell you what it grows into because that'll give it away right away. You can guess on that. And that's another feature that we're going to try to be bringing to It's Not Work, It's Fun, is to have a quiz question. And to answer, you have to write into the P.O. Box, and we'll try to get prizes out for the people who actually answer the questions correctly. And then we'll have them printed not only on the screen on the show when we air this show, but we'll also have them printed in the article for Prime Living. That's a great little magazine. It's a senior citizen magazine, and it says, for people who get older and better. That's the slogan from Prime Living. Now, if hopefully we get a real good shot of that. We get a good shot of that, guys? Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're saying okay. Hopefully, you'll be able to tell what that is. And if you can't, I'm going to tell you at the end of the program. Now, there's a couple of other things that I wrote the Christmas recipe again in the article for Prime Living, and people want to try to keep them going as long as they can. And I'm not talking about Christmas trees, because a lot of the Christmas trees are already out on the streets, and people want to know about the Christmas recipe, if they can keep the poinsettias growing from that point by using the Christmas recipe all the way through the winter. The answer is, after a certain point, no. The answer is no. Simply because after the little yellow bracts from the Christmas poinsettias fall off, you want to decrease the sugar and the sugar levels, which was white soda and cheap yellow soda in the Christmas recipe. And if you want to keep that poinsettia healthy, you got to stop giving it the sugar. You got to stop giving it quite so much water. Put it into a bright, sunny room, but not right in the direct sunlight. You have to maybe put it back away from the window a ways. Maybe a bright, sunny room that's got a little bit of shade or something on it like that. Something that's going to kind of block the sunlight, because as the sun goes higher in the sky and it sets earlier in the morning and sets later at night, we're not only going to get towards summer, but that the UV rays, the vitamin D that's in the UV rays from the sun, are actually going to get a lot stronger. So that's something you want to back off on the poinsettia. Don't use the Christmas recipe anymore. That's only for that period of time at the end of the year, say, between Christmas and New Year's, and then after the first of the year, you stop using it. If you haven't used it all up, use it all up right now as we speak, as you're watching, listening, reading, whatever, and then don't use that anymore until the next Christmas season comes around 12 months from now, 11 and a half months from now. Okay, so that's the answer to that question. And yes, I will have more answer to questions in the upcoming articles for Prime Living, and I'll also have a lot more subjects coming up through this, not only the gardening contest, but some other special things. Now we're going to get to some bushes. Well, during the Christmas holiday season, we had a chance to do a little bit of traveling. This was before Christmas. And I saw an expert gardener way down in Illinois that had very unusual shaped bushes. And I know exactly what they did and how long it took to get those bushes that were shaped like that. They had one that was in the shape of Mickey Mouse. They had one that was in the shape of Donald Duck. And it's a certain type of bonsai. And what they did is they took several different kinds of bushes, and this is how you start. What you do is you pick out a bush that's pretty tall, maybe 2 to 3 feet tall, and you plan your shape in the winter. Now, it depends on the size of the bush. If you're going to use an evergreen bush, and your little evergreen bush, and you want to say make it into the shape of the Notre Dame Cathedral or something, well, if it's only 6 inches tall, it's not going to be a very noticeable shape of anything. So you have to choose one that's pretty easy to cut, that doesn't have a whole lot of thick branches on it, and one that you can maybe bend or twist the branches into the shape that you want. Now, this particular person had maybe 20 different kinds of bushes. And what they did is they shaped them into several different things. One was the shape of a star, and it had been like that for a long time. It really fit in at the holiday season. But it's any shape that you want. If you want to start planning on something like that, you have to do it in the wintertime. You have to pick something out. A real good bush to work with would be, say, a globe arborvitae, or maybe Spirea, one that's a little bigger. You gotta remember the size of the bush determines the shape that you're going for. The first thing you want to do is to draw it out on a piece of paper. You plan your shape, you pick out your bush, go outside, look around, because everything's bare, and when everything is bare is when you actually can figure out what you're going to start doing. Now, this process takes a long time to really get into a nice shape and have the leaves grow in. What you can do is to pick out a bush that's, say, maybe 1.5 feet tall, and just start a little bit of the shape and let it grow into that shape as it gets bigger. It does take several years to do that, but this person apparently had been doing this for many years, because some of the branches on the bushes were as thick as a softball. I mean, they were just huge. They were about like this. But they were well shaped, well cut, and well trimmed, and it's because they had started when the bush was a lot younger. It's a lot easier to cut a twig that's only this thick rather than this thick. And that's what you have to start doing. Now this is a form of bonsai, and it's, oh gosh, people have been doing it for thousands and thousands of years. As a matter of fact, the Chinese have been shaping bushes like this for over 4,000 years. So It does take a long, long time. The first thing you do is you plan your shape, okay? And you plan any shape you want. You put one into a square. As a matter of fact, I have one that looks like a barbershop pole where it goes around like this, and it goes around in a spiral. And you look at it and you say, wow, that's like one of those old barbershop poles. When they turn them on, they go around and it looks like the spiral is going up and down. Well, that's what one of my bushes looks like. How long did it take me to get that way? 10 years. The next thing you do is you draw the picture of the shape that you want on a piece of paper. Now, by doing this, don't expect to get the shape of Mount Everest on a little tiny bush. You can do it with rose bushes. You can do it with, as I said, any kind of evergreen bush, a yew, a podocarpus, globe arborvitae. You can use a bridal wreath. You can use, just all different kinds of bushes. Ones that get the real small, tiny leaves. You might not want to do something like that on a lilac. You're going to cut off the future blooms. It won't bloom too much. It'll just have a lot of green on it. Lilacs are kind of neat the way they are. So a lot of times people don't do that. There's neat things you can do with a bush that's called columnar buckthorn. There's another bush that's it's golden spirea. You can try any of that. You can try any of the bushes that have little tiny ornamental flowers. As a matter of fact, I even saw the one bush that was a thyme. It was dried out thyme. It was perennial thyme, and it was pretty big. It was about 2 feet tall. Well, for thyme, this is too big, pretty big. It was 2 feet tall, and they had it into the shape of a boat. And it kind of looked like the Titanic sailing along on top of the ground. There wasn't any snow at that point. It was still before December 21st. So at any rate, everybody's laughing. So at any rate, it was pretty neat to see that. And then, of course, they had lights all over them. Now, the next thing you want to do after you draw the picture is determine the size of the bush that you're going to pick out. If it's already 2 feet tall, you got a real good specimen. If the twigs and the branches are really, really tiny, say maybe not more than a ½ inch at the biggest branch diameter, and then the rest of them are smaller potentillers. Well, they're potentillas really, but that's what I call it, potentillers. Anyway, what you want to do is you can pick out a bush, and then you start to kind of imagine in your mind how you get that shape. If you want something, now, believe it or not, the shape of Mickey Mouse is really easy to accomplish because you start out with just the ears and then it kind of goes down into the head like that. You draw that on a piece of paper. If you can't draw, go to the library, get a book where you can either trace a drawing of something that you like or Goofy or Donald Duck or something like that, and then get a Xerox copy of it, not to infringe on any copyright laws or anything like that. Or maybe if you have a friend that draws, have them draw up a very simple picture. Oh, another one that I saw was a little dachshund or a wiener dog. I guess that's what they're called anyway. And that was pretty cool too. Anyway, what they did is they put 2 low-growing evergreen bushes together and they made the shape of the dog like it was walking along the ground. Now these are bushes. And it's very easy to do. You just have to have a lot of patience to do that. You start planting now, and if there's a lot of snow on the ground, what you can do is you can kind of shovel out some of the snow around the bush so you can get a better idea of the shape that you want. The next thing that you're going to do is if you pick out a kind of a smaller bush, say one that's maybe only a foot tall, that's going to determine how much you're going to actually cut off. The best size to pick from is one that's kind of established already and maybe 2 feet tall, maybe 2 and 3 feet tall, that doesn't have really, really big branches. Now, if you pick something like a muggle pine, and it's already 2 feet tall, there's a lot of neat things you can do there. As a matter of fact, there was one that I did that I gave up on after a while. I did this several years ago, and I just didn't keep it up. I made a couple of different tulip shapes coming out of the bush, and it was pretty neat. It's something that you have to keep on trimming these bushes from year to year, but as the shape grows into it's the shape that you want, you only trim off around the edges. You don't have to do a major job of trimming. Well, I didn't do that one for a couple of years and just all grew back. I have other bushes that I have shaped for the last 10 years into windswept patterns, so that's another different kind of a bonsai trick. And that's something that you can do too, but it all starts now. It all starts in the middle of winter. as if you thought that the gardening season ended. Well, I got news for you. Okay, now the next thing you want to do is you want to look for bushes, trees, branches that you can easily twist, bend, or cut the branches to get them into the shape that you want. Or maybe there's a branch that you think is going to be in the way and it won't look real good. What you can do is not only draw a picture of what you want, go out and take a picture of the bush that you want, and then take that picture inside and put the shape, cut out the shape, and put that shape on the picture that you just took. Say if you want to, you get one of those little Kodak cameras, and you take that, and then you say to yourself, geez, how can I make this fit into there? Well, you can start to see the possibilities if you put the drawing on top of the picture. If the drawing is way too big, you can go to any copy center and get it reduced. You can shrink it down and put it on top of the picture and say, wow, yeah, this is how this can go. Now, the next steps that you actually have to determine is that you have to get a piece of wiring or a string or something that's going to go around the bush to where you want to cut off those branches. If you want to start in the wintertime cutting off some of the branches, that's fine, you can do that. But if you want to wait till spring to see what's going to grow, you can do that too. You can only take it so far in the wintertime, but you do get it started in the wintertime. Another thing that you can do is to, a very easy shape, and it's you can do these out of muggle pines very, very easily, is to have the shape of the crescent moon. That's another neat one that you can do. You can easily get that to grow and fill in. I think one of the neatest ones I saw was a box elder bush, and that's another one that does grow up here. And all of the bushes that I mentioned that you can start this with, they all grow up here in this cold, 14th coldest city in the United States area. Yes, Wausau is the 14th coldest city in the United States. Lucky us. If you didn't know that before, you certainly do now. You can use all of those types of bushes. As a matter of fact, some people do like to use rose bushes too, because they like to use the roses that have the real small, tiny twigs. In other words, the miniature roses. And you can actually shape those around in a swirl to make it look like a cloud going up in the air. I didn't really notice if this person had any rose bushes, but then again, it was also the dormant season, and I wasn't looking real close anyway. I wanted to try to get a chance to talk to the gardener, but it turned out that the gardener was not home and would not be home because they were on vacation in Wisconsin. Well, at any rate, I was able to look at the bushes, though, for a little while. And it was a lot of fun. Now, that's something that's different. You can start that. And if you want to write into the P.O. box and ask for some more direction, that's just fine. You can do that, too. I'm going to keep talking about that. And hopefully, we'll be getting some pictures on that. Hopefully, the gardener down there will remember to send me some pictures. Hopefully, it won't be in the springtime. She'll remember in the wintertime. But at any rate, that would have been nice to show you some pictures of that. Okay, we're actually going to move on. I kind of knew I was going to run out of time on that. Now, it's getting close to the end of the program. Let's get another close-up of this right here. And if you haven't guessed as to what it is, I'll give you a few more minutes, okay? Now, this is something that, I'll give you a hint. It grows into a huge, huge, huge plant. I'm not going to call it what it actually is because I'll give it away. I know your curiosity is brimming over, isn't it? One of the things that are really nice is that blue jays actually like to, they either eat them or they pick at them, one of the two. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what blue jays eat. I don't know a whole lot about birds. I have a friend who does, but he doesn't like to come on the show too often. He was on the show once 4 years ago. He didn't want to come back. He's kind of camera shy. Anyway, these are seeds that can be started. They have to be started outside in the cold, cold ground. And it takes about 20 years to actually grow from a seed into a great big huge tree. This is a seed of a tree. Now, if you don't know what kind it is, I'm going to make you guess for a couple more minutes yet. And one of the things that you have to do is you actually have to let Mother Nature do her work. Now, the reason the birds pick at these things is because they actually, some of them, get the seeds from inside, and they transport the seeds from their bill. They pass through the bird's body, and the seeds actually get spread around. They don't grow real easily from seed, but they will grow from seed. You have to let the birds get at them first. This is the kind of seed where you have to let Mother Nature do her work, because if we would just put these into a pot, we actually might not get them to grow. We'll think, oh, they're dead or they're sterile. No, they're not. That doesn't work that way. What happens though is you have to drop them out in the snow, and some people actually bury them in the snow, but you have to drop them out in the snow so that the birds can see them. And this is not the only type of seed that this works on. This is just one of many types. Now, some seeds actually have to pass through the bird's body in order for it to germinate. Some seeds don't. This one doesn't necessarily have to pass through the bird. The bird actually, sometimes the saliva will get the sterilization process undone. In other words, the saliva will help the germination process get from sterile to being fertile. That's what has to happen. You can bury these out in the snow and let the birds do their work, and sooner or later you'll have these trees growing around in a forest. If you have a big piece of land and you want to, and you got time to wait for a tree to grow from seed, which I have done, by the way. I have several trees growing on my property from seed. That's a nice thing for you to do. If you want to put in a sapling, that's fine too. You're going to wait at least 5 to 10 years to get a sapling this high on this kind of a tree. Now, I'll give you, just about another 10 seconds here, then I'll tell you what this is. There are not only blue jays, but cedar waxwings that like these particular types of seeds, and they're very, very ornamental trees. They're very, very nice, and they're called Korean ash trees. These are seeds from a Korean ash tree, and usually they're pretty expensive to buy as saplings in the springtime. If you want to get stuff started and you got a little bit of time, you got a big piece of land, you got a little, or even a small yard, if you want to try to get some growing, that's what you can do. You can let Mother Nature work for you. You can't work against her. You can work with her. I'm Master Gardener Bernie Delaunay. Until next time, be green, and remember, it's not work, it's fun, and remember the rules for the gardening contest. See y'all later.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen. As they say in the movie industry, that's one in the can for 1999. All right. Well, let's hope that there's going to be a lot more episodes by Master Gardener Bernie Delaunay. Now remember, some of the people that make this show possible, as we were saying before, Vanessa's Design Service, featuring drafting, engineering, and blueprint services. Prime Living, where Bernie writes her articles. Keep reading and keep writing in. She just loves the mail. ARDL, Advanced Rotary Technology, out of Davenport, Iowa. Mount View Mobile, stop in and say hi to the Murphys, because they'll help you out with Bernie's Critter Getter and newsletter, and also they can get you some other things you might need for your car or yourself. And remember, Bernie said, keep those cards and letters coming in that P.O. box. So everybody, have a real nice day.